had to come to a place of understanding that this doesn't shake God. This doesn't change how He sees me. Hi Peegees, welcome to my corner, or welcome back to my corner. I'm Michaela, the girl on the journey to purpose, and I'm taking you along with me to destination. Who am I? Discovering my identity. Okay. So if you have not yet subscribed, become a part of the Peegee family. Make it official, because why not? We are on the journey to purpose. We're gonna be doing this together. Just come along, come on, vamonos, right? And if you have not yet checked out the blog, I won't be posting any blog posts this week. We're winding down discovering, and check out the blog, check out the posts, have a read, catch up, fill your eyes, fill your heart, encourage someone if you can, if you will, if you must, because we're all on a mission to season and shine, right? So yeah, do your part by sharing. But yeah, let's make we talk. Subscribe. All right, so if you're talking about identity, of course I have to be like a teacher, and I have to define identity. Now, I saw quite a few, but I decided to choose two which I think explain identity for me and more than likely for others. And if this dim continue, we're gonna just dim through it, because what? Now, according to Wikipedia, identity is the qualities, beliefs, personality traits, appearance, and or expressions that characterize a person. And then Psychology Today said identity encompasses the memories, experiences, relationships, and values that create one's sense of self. I love that one there. That one there. It's whatever, but that one there. Yeah. Now, based on these definitions, it is obvious that however someone sees themselves, or whatever their identity is to them, it's based on one of these factors, and one of these factors can be negative or positive, which means that your identity based on any of these may not be what it truly is. Okay, and that's why it's important that your identity is rooted in something that is constant, and this something is a someone, and that is in Christ. Okay. Anyway, identity in my eyes, growing up, becoming a big turbid, how I saw myself, what I had as my identity. You remember when I said, oh, I was shy, I didn't want to do this channel because I'm shy. A lot of things I didn't do when I was younger because I was shy. I didn't want to do this, and I didn't want to do that, and such and such. Remember that? And then my cousin said, boof, buff, boof, no, you're not shy. Yeah. I lived my life thinking I won't do certain things because I'm shy. I won't participate in certain things because I'm shy. I won't engage myself in because I am what? Shy. I had adopted that mindset that I was shy. And as a result, I lived from that place. I don't do certain things because why? I'm shy. Oh, I'm shy before I even considered anything at all. No, I don't do those things because I'm shy. Who said that, girl? How do you know that you're shy? Where did you get that from? You were born shy? So clearly that came from somewhere, some experience, something. I don't know. Maybe someone said, you're cursed to be shy forever. And they said, okay, we're shy. I don't know. Something. But I got it from somewhere, obviously. So I told myself that, and I lived by that. And I remember in grade 5 when my class teacher came in and said, oh, the school has a debating team now, and there are persons, we're going to choose 3 persons from this class to be members of the team. And I was sitting there picking out the persons for the team, and lo and behold, she called my name. I don't know why. Why did she call my name? She called my name because obviously she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, couldn't see in myself, didn't want to see in myself. Because what? Debate in front of people? No, not me. Not my circus, not my monkey. Okay. Anyway, she never did ask me still. She just tell me, she informed me, say, girl, you're up on the team. Okay. Alright. So whether or not I wanted to do these things, she saw in me a girl who could do this. Now the same way she saw in me, Michaela, you can do this. I said, debating skills, and I say, you can do this. It's the same way God sees us, living below our potential, living below what He has us as. And He's trying to pick at us like, this is really who you are. But because of our narratives, like our growing up narratives, or life when we got older narrative, or experiences, or memories, whatever shaped us, we have been saying no. So even if we felt that nudge, like, we feel like the Lord is saying to us, so you're not gonna accept it because to you, that is not you, right? So there's a danger in your identity being rooted in something that is anything, because something that is anything can be anything on any given day. So today, something happened that's good. Oh, I am strong, and I'm. Tomorrow something bad happens, I am not. I'm a weak, shy, afraid person, and I'm cool with that. The identity that we carry, whatever we bear, should reflect that of who created us. And I'm sure God did not create any of us, drop us by earth, boom. How are we gonna bring Him glory if we're just like, I don't think that's whatever, And that's not to say that we're all going to do the same thing. I'm saying in whatever capacity you can function, you tell yourself that you can't. I was living, so over the years, clearly my identity would have changed based on my circumstances. So when I was at work, my identity was rooted in my job. That made me someone of worth, someone of value. Yeah. When I had money,
Jesus is Lord!
Then that made me someone who could be helpful and useful to others, and that made me valuable as well. Do you remember in the video on faith and finances when I was reading away, and then I said, I'm going to share this at another time? Remember that? My identity was in my... So during my editing, I realized that the revelations that I got, that I was sharing here, they apply here, but I think they'll be better suited for another video that I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm going to just leave this part out and add it in another video, which I will mention at that time that this is the part I was talking about. Cool? Cool. That I'm going to share that now. I did tell you that when I'm sharing it, I'll let you know that that's what I'm doing. So I was asking God about the, because job gone, this gone, and I was asking Him, like, was I prideful? Was my, was the job more than just a job to me? And this was the response. My identity was in my job. I was ashamed of myself for not achieving anything at my age, and the one thing I had going for me was my job and the fact that it was a reputable institution. So I'd make sure I show people, see, I'm not that worthless. It was my way of telling myself I wasn't a failure. My job was my identity, and so it made me have a bit of pride
in it. Not necessarily being proud of myself, but prideful. I thought it was a good thing because I was celebrating an achievement, but that wasn't the case. I didn't really see God in it. I saw the job as my thing that made me someone with worth, and it made me feel less of a failure, especially for my age and lack of things to show for it. I had friendships, but was there substance? Was my light even shining any at all at the office? Was I seasoning the office? I think I'm gonna save this for the next video.
My here for me, as I said in the previous video, if you have not watched it, okay, losing the game. I thought I kind of got caught. I got caught up in the natural hair. People see your hair natural, and people say you are a child of God because the hair is natural. Going to church. Remember, I grew up as a pastor's child. I've been going to church all my life. It's almost like I got baptized and I didn't know what sin I was washing off. Don't take that the wrong way. I'm saying I didn't live a life in, like, you know how people have them testimonies, like, I was living this life and Jesus saved me and I gave my life to him and I can see how, then I would say it. Because best believe I'm going to stand in church and I'm going to say, thank God for saving grace when I was so lost in sin. Jesus saved me. And yeah, you're in sin once you're in sin. I hope you get what I'm saying. If you don't do all that is required to be saved, then you are in sin. My point is in terms of the activities then. The activities that I would partake in. We never really do nothing. So automatically in my head, I did already saved because I never had nothing. I just need to baptize and you understand? So my job, money, hair, appearance, let me just say appearance. Job, money, appearance, going to church, how I thought, like how I planned out my life from my view of what my identity was and my purpose was. So I have different views of my identity based on the situation, based on where I was in life, where I hope that's making sense. But no, I had to get to the point, or the Lord wanted me to get to the point where I would be questioning, is this really me, or But remember, he had to work on some things, which is the journey coming up to now. He worked on my mindset first. He worked on issues that would affect some of these issues that I mentioned in the definition. He worked on those. So skewed experiences, skewed thoughts, skewed this, everything that was skewed, he straightened that first to get me to the place where I could see what he was saying without being governed by the negative thoughts or the experiences that I've had in life. So, identity in, I think my hand is doing this to the light. So I'm gonna sit like this for the next whatever many minutes I'm gonna be talking. So, identity in God's eyes. Okay? As a believer, as a child of God, as a disciple or an image bearer, regardless of my experiences and regardless of how they made me feel and how they caused me to perceive myself, that has never, will never, and it does not change how God sees me, because our experiences cannot skew God's truth. It cannot. So at whatever point in time in our lives, he's ready to, like, listen, it's time to do more than just take up space. He's gonna find a way to show you that. Okay? So regardless of my beliefs and thoughts, I had to come to a place of understanding that This doesn't shake God. This doesn't change how he sees me. In fact, he wants me now to realize that how I see myself is not the truth. And because he's such a fine architect, he crafted a plan that would be perfection to him to get me to come to a place where I would start thinking differently, start believing differently, and start to want to see if there is more, and eventually tap into it and get to the place where he could show me, Michaela, this is who you are. His carefully crafted plan would get me to a place of self-discovery. Who I am, and not just who I am, but who I am in him. If I am an image bearer, then how do I reflect him? Who are you, girl? How do you show Christ in your life? By not just the things you say, but how you live ultimately. And once I got to that place, and I would no longer hang on to any little word, anything that happened, and automatically say, oh, well, yeah, this is who I am. Because it's gonna change. And that couldn't make sense to be my reality, right? So I get to the place to discover. Heavy on the discover, because we're in discovery mode right now, okay? So I get to the place where I discover my true identity. We all have our different views of our identities, but what exactly is our true identity? And so Ephesians 2 verse 10, listen, when I get these things I write them down, but in my head, because remember I was so caught up in business and having to make money to do this and do that, everything turned into business for me. So when I get Ephesians 2:10 and I get what the word was from it, hey, we can put this on something and sell this. This is a word for someone. No, this is a word for you. When you get it, you can make it for somebody else, but it's you. I was ready to encourage the masses and not have a clue who may be. Had no clue. So Ephesians 2 verse 10 basically says that we are his handiwork. We are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which he has before prepared. He prepared beforehand for us to walk in. Paraphrase the last part, but yeah, that's the concept. So if the good works have been prepared for me to walk in, how do I walk in it without even knowing who I am? Because if I find myself, if there is a competition that I'm supposed to catch a ball, and I'm saying, me clumsy, you can't catch, how am I going to confidently walk into the people in place and catch a ball? Or if I do catch it and I say, I buck up, there's no confidence in myself, and there's no confidence in whoever said you should be on the team. It's the same now. How do I walk in pretty much the will, God's will for my life, his purpose that he already created for me? How do I walk in it without even knowing who I am in him? I have to see myself how he sees me, because how he sees me would have been how he already planted me in this particular purpose. So I had to get to the place where, Michaela, who you think you are is not who you are, and you have to leave that behind you in order to get to where you're supposed to go. And you have to now see yourself as God sees you, to do what God wants you to do. If not, my story is always going to be pick somebody else, and me not even lose my tongue. I don't want to lose my tongue. So I can't constantly be saying pick somebody else, pick somebody else, pick somebody else, when I know what I'm supposed to do to empower myself, or to be empowered to actually walk in the call. I have to find out who I am. And sorry about this blinking, people. Me reach 21 minutes in and me not start over. And not do this over. Now, don't confuse that with my need for God. I'm not saying I'm getting to a place where I know who I am, so yay. once you find out who you are in Christ, you know more now that you need Christ. You need God. How are you gonna be a netballer on a team without the coach? You have certain skills and you do certain things, but you will need to improve on those skills, and you're gonna need your coach to help you. So this is not negating getting closer to God and knowing more about myself. This is saying the more you know, the more you want to know. And if you want to know more, you have to go to the source. You can't be a disciple. You can't say, oh, I'm following Jesus, I'm a disciple, without seeking him, without wanting to know more about him and wanting to know more about you from him. That's the opposite of what it is. You need him all day, every day. And he's so strategic that he has been affirming me. He has been affirming me all along. Because like I said, when I got the Ephesians 2, I was like, yes, this can go on something. But the good thing is I was writing them down. So fast forward to understanding more, I'm going back through them and I'm like, okay. Oh, that's what that was for. That's the main purpose of that. Oh, it's for me to know who I am, not to tell Shelly, this is who you are. Okay, got it. He was equipping me for his purpose. He still is equipping me for his purpose. But me can never see that. I saw opportunities to make a dough and not throw a dough. So who am I and what does that mean? First of all, the cliche line, I am who God says I am who he says I am, right? And what I'm about to say is for me. These are the things that he has been telling me that I did not realize he was telling me. And I decided to write them down to say who I am based on what he has been telling me that I am. Okay? A disciple. John 15 verse 16. You remember my saying? I told God picked me. That's what that is from. Right? I am his handiwork. Ephesians 2 verse 10. I am a harvester. It's based on John 4:35, and that's the very first verse I got when I was seeking God regarding my business. I got, look on the fields for they're already white for harvest, and I said, oh, you're saying that the customers are just waiting for me? Yippee. There was no thought of And when he gave me the word disciple, I said, oh, this means discipline. And discipline, this means discipline, Michaela. You must get up and put more effort into your business. And I am salt and light. This is from St. Matthew 5. You know, season and shine. Everybody know that part here. If you don't know this part, suspect. I am a missionary. Okay, and this is it's in quotes because it's not a missionary as we know that missionaries go on missionary journeys, like physically. But I'm on mission. Like this is mission. This is mission for me. So I'm a missionary. And this is from Acts 9. I'm a delegate. Acts 10. And I am royalty. This is from 1 Peter 2 verse 9. I never write it down, but I think I'll just say it from 1 Peter 2 verse 9. I believe. If it's not correct, then of course I'll just insert the right thing here. No, all of these come back to one thing. Serving the mission to spread the gospel And I know that we think that spreading the gospel is some preaching thing where you go on a pulpit and you say, no. I'm just spreading the good news of Jesus. How I can spread it. I can only spread it based on my experience. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing my story for his glory. At the end of the day, all of these are bottled in one thing. Bring God glory. With my life, with my story, that's what he told me. Share your story for my glory. I could have questioned from here to there. What story? I don't have any story. This is not Law and Order. I'm just doing what I'm told to do. I'm following Christ. That's it. So all of these embody one thing. Bring God glory. Make him known. Bring him glory. That's it. So that's who I am. I'm an image bearer, and I'm supposed to show forth the praises of him who called me out of darkness into light. No, darkness may not be what you're thinking, like, but you're just saying never did a sin. I was in darkness in my mind. Remember the depression something there? And that depression something there had me thinking that was it. I never thought, first of all, if I didn't know I was depressed, I wouldn't know that I wasn't thinking that was all there is to me. Like, you're done for. You're done for. You get what I say? And because I grew up as a pastor's child, I just accepted that I was doing it all already. There was nothing left to do. I go to church, I sing pan choir, I do this, I help with this, I serve here and there. I thought I was doing it. So, am I always gonna be like, oh, God says I am all of this and yeah and nothing? No, it's a constant battle. It's an everyday thing. I have to choose to believe what God says over how I feel or what a particular circumstance brings about on any given day. So when it gets shaky, I go back to what God said. And I repeat them. Sometimes aloud, sometimes just in my mind. Lord, you said this, I believe this. Sometimes I just say what it is. I am this, I am this, I am this. So I've had my moments where, life, memories, things pop up and you start to question things. Sometimes I don't get to the point where I question it, but for a split second, here comes a thought and I have to snap out of it. And not snap out of it in a rehearsed way where I'm like, oh, I snapped out of it, but snap out of it honestly and truly with what I know. Because if the Lord gives me a word directly, okay, concrete, rock stone, solid, and once I have that locked in, I'm going to tap into that. I have to believe his word. Sometimes it's immediately, sometimes it's eventually, but I'm always going to go back to, if God says this, this is what it is. I choose every day to live in the truth of what God says. He is the only constant and he cannot lie. So if he says a thing, that's the thing. I have to live with that. Especially now doing this thing where it's still growing on me. Me can't do that without him. Can't do it without hearing him say, okay, here, left, right, whichever. I thought, okay, you grew up in a church, you're good. You not for worry too much about nothing. You're not too gone in that world. Do you remember the little lady that I said to me, what you know about problem? You're too young for that about problem. And I said, she meant well, I think that's what she was looking at, like, live no life out in a world, really live no, really up like that. So we are that about. I think that's what she meant. And she equated not living out in the world to me not having problems. Bless her heart. No, if she was talking on the side of relationship with God, she would be right. Because You know how some people have them testimony of where God took them from, like they were in the depths of living life and the Lord saved them. Like them go to church one day, them hear say Jesus saves, and they had the conviction, and since that, yeah, I think that's what she was trying to get at, because I have routine. I knew Jesus there. I just knew, oh, Jesus came, he died on the cross, but I didn't personally know him as a savior. You hear what I said? I was giving testimonies I had no business giving. None. Because I was just repeating what people are saying. When them testify, them say this, and then them end with this, and then say something about Jesus, this, and they're grateful. Oh, say that. So while I know I meant well in saying it, because I'm doing the right thing, it wasn't really from a deep experiential situation thing, So I was saved, but I didn't know what I was saved from. I shared the video of insecurity, and I deliberately took it out of losing to gain to use it here, because that was also one of the things where I had to learn that your identity cannot be in just how you look, in just appearance. Because if that's the case, based on my reason for my insecurity, or the biggest one, then I'd be telling God no. I'd be putting this thing above him, and I'd be making my identity about how I look, and I'd be putting God on the back burner. It's one thing to take scriptures and apply it to your life or your circumstances, sometimes out of context, but hey, we've all been there, I guess. But it's another thing when the Lord gives you a direct word, or John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave, but something is happening in your life and the Lord says to you John 3:16, or quotes the verse to you. It hits different when you get a direct word from God in a particular situation. Well, for me it does. I don't know, I assume it's the same for you. That is what you call cement, concrete, rock stone. If he says it, I believe it. That settles it. You hear me? Tell that to yourself. If he says it, I believe it, and that settles it. No, your grain of salt is, for most, if not all of your life, you have lived your life as a tree, because that's all you knew yourself to be. That's all you knew yourself to be, based on what you've heard, based on what someone did, based on your experiences, based on memories you have. So you've been living like a tree, not knowing that you're really not a tree. You're like a light post, planted deep down light post, right? And as a result, you have been living accordingly. I'm a tree. I'm just gonna stand right here. I won't move. When the wind blows, it will take my limbs and blow them here, and people will get shade from me, and people will get breeze and cool breeze, and I'm living in purpose, because I'm giving them shade, I'm giving them cool breeze. You've decided to accept that your identity, who you are, is just all that you can see. And so you're probably a broken girl with skewed perceptions of who you really are, or how you should live. And you've accepted it. So you're living that way. You're living from a place of hurt, to be honest. But what if I were to sprinkle a little salt on that notion and cause it to burn enough to change your mind just a little, to think differently just a little, to think, what if I really am not living in who I'm called to be? What if how I see myself is really not the truth? What if I'm living as a tree, thinking I'm a tree, just being hurt about being a tree because Uncle Tom turned me into a tree, and Auntie Jenny told me, you are a tree, you'll be nothing but a tree. Now, if Auntie Jenny can tell you you're a tree, and Uncle Tom can tell you you're a tree, and you believe it, it means that Brother Joe can tell you that you're a pot, and you believe it. See where I'm going with this? You're going to accept that you are anything anybody else tell you that you are. It's gonna change based on what someone says, and the reason you're believing everything you hear is because there's something else that's causing you to just accept what you hear. So allow me to sprinkle a grain of salt. Ouch, that burns, I know. Okay, you cannot be just that, just what anybody says, just how you feel, because what's the use? No, girl, no, sir, if there's a sir here. It cannot be. It just cannot be. Come a little closer. I know it's hard to believe because that's all you've seen, that's all you've been hearing all your life. All this negative talk, all this whatever. And because you're not even in the right frame of mind to fight back, to even oppose what you hear, you accept it. You live with it and you're like, it's fine, I'm fine. I'm okay with being a tree anyway. You're not. You're not happy. You're not okay with being a tree. You actually want to do more than just be planted in the ground, giving breeze and shade. So you've believed that that's all you are. That's who you are. But it cannot be so if that's not what God says. That's the only thing that is true, what He says about you. Now, if you don't know what He says about you, be intentional. Ask Him. Ask, Lord, what is my identity? Who am I? So you can truly see through His lens what He sees when He sees you, and what He knows will be the end for you. So you can actually live out your true potential and be just that and do just that. I dare you. I double, triple dare you. Ask Him. Ask Him. Ask Him. Lord, who am I? And when I say be intentional, I mean be intentional in asking Him because you want to know, and be intentional to listen for an answer. And listening is not necessarily in your ears. It's not necessarily in your ears. He can answer you. Dream, vision, just inklings, knowings. Be intentional. Ask Him, and I said I double dare you. If He's not gonna answer you, you think God don't want you if you know who you be? So He can be like, come girl, come man, rope in. He wants you to know. He wants you to be curious. He wants to fill the void. He wants to heal you. And he wants to use you. Not just use you because, well, I want to serve the Lord. Because you also need to know that you serve a purpose here. And it may not necessarily be overnight. And when I say overnight, God can answer you overnight. But if this is new to you, he may answer, you may not realize it because you're not clicking that that's what's happening. But what you can do is just write stuff down. If you wake up and you hear posts, get a journal, a notebook, anything. Your notes in your phone. Something that you know you can secure with in a last or get deleted. Write it down. The minute you start asking these questions, start write down stuff. In fact, what you can do is record your day. Today you went to the supermarket, you saw a kite, the kite was blue. Wonder why the kite was blue. You came back home, and when you came back home, somewhere to the blues you heard stove, and you wrote down stove. All of them may just seem like gibberish, and you might dream and you see one pig with wings and you're like, pig with wings? What? Write it down. And then one day, seemingly out of nowhere, you get this epiphany. And you're like, what? Hold on. God did, yeah. And you check your book. There goes an answer. Try it. Please try it. You see how I was getting these and me write them down, I use them for all kind of foolishness or just leave them? I had to go back to them. Things that I'm telling you now, I had them from 2021. Just written down because, I just got a dream and I wrote it down. I was writing my dreams down, or, I heard this word. Woke up and there's this word and I wrote it down. That was it. Until now. So the Lord has been showing up, but me never did understand it. So when I say it's not necessarily going to be overnight, that's what I mean. Cool? Okay. Your ray of light. It's that there is hope. There is hope. Like, I'm doing things I never thought I would do. Quite frankly, did not want to do. Thought for sure I would never do. Said, do not ask me to do it because I will not do it. I didn't. I never wanted to because I thought, more than likely, this is not for me. This is not my... But it was really that I didn't know who I was or what I was capable of. So how did I get here? I discovered me. And not on my own. You know this. But I had to the Lord could tell you all you want. You have to come to a place where you're willing to accept what you're hearing and seeing. So I discovered me, not without the help of the Lord, but I discovered me. I discovered who Michaela really, 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 really and truly is. There's something about realizing or discovering who you are that empowers you. Realizing that this is not how God sees you. He sees you this way. And it's like that. You know how kids are. And that is why we believe so much in affirmations, because we know that if you say to a child, you can or you are, the child believes it. The same way if you tell them to them a croft, and that's all they're hearing, there's no opposing voice to the voice of you're a croft. The child is going to believe that he or she's a croft. So over time, the Lord is telling me all these things. You're this, you're that, you can do this, you can do that. This is what I wanted to do. Even if he didn't say you are, once he says do this, it means that you have some view of me that I don't have. Because you think that I can do this? Okay. Cool. over time it just does something to your mind and your spirit. The very, very first verse that I got when I was changing, like adding to my business, which I thought was also for business, which it probably is, but it wasn't for that at the time. It was for me to know it. Was for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but power, love, sound mind. And I used to think that had to do with just being free from sadness, being free from fear, and being free from, when it can be used there, it really is empowering, because the context of it is to empower Timothy to go do the thing that he's supposed to do. No watch your age, no watch nothing. You can do this, Timothy. Me I tell you this from prison. You can do this. There's something about hearing the thing over and over, and especially from somebody who knows you, and who knows us better than God. So when I tell you that there is hope, I'm saying once you get to the point of self-discovery, of realizing who you are in God, of knowing your true identity, no, me not tell you, Satan will come after you, that time will come after you. However, the cement, the rock stone of the word will keep you. There's something about realizing that God sees you as more than what you see. It empowers you and it makes you want to just try. Just try something. You are royalty in God's eyes. And if once you are a believer, you're a child of God, you believe, you're a believer, like, you know, Jesus says he is for me, he died for me, even if you have not yet given your life to him, once you believe that, know that once you come to him, you are supposed to show the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Not with some big platform or whatever. It's how he saved you. So you have to get to the place where you find out who you are, so that you can do what you're called to do. You are royalty in God's eyes. Tap into that and walk like it. Walk like it. It may take a few baby steps. It may even take you pretending for a while till you actually get it. Believe it, like solid in your head. And like me, you may have to fight it too. But there's always a cement word. Cement, rock, stone of the word. There is freedom in knowing who you are, who God says you are. Pursue it. Pursue it and experience it. Thanks for coming along, Peegees. Always good to have you here with me. I like the company. Okay, like when you come and pull up your chair, we're just here. Okay, like it. So remember, if you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, please. Okay. And if this video did anything for you, okay, give it a thumbs up. Here's your checklist. Alright, don't leave me in the journey streets. So let's talk in the comments, and see you next week when we go on another destination. We are coming down to the end of our discovery phase. We're probably at the end of it. We're discovering and we're about to grow. Okay, but mark your seats and see you in the next one. Cool.